Hi everyone, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. I'm Chris. Thanks for joining me. We are now into February. We've had a whole month of 2025 and it's been quite a fruitful month for fragrance acquisitions. So here are the fragrances that I've acquired during the month of January. Yeah, it's been a bit of a busy month for fragrance releases and my bank account certainly knows about it. But what I wanted to do in this video is just give you guys a bit of transparency on which fragrances were given to me as PR gifts and which fragrances I purchased. What you'll see over this month of January is pretty representative, I would say, of what I get in terms of PR and what I have to spend my own money on. Let's kick things off with one that actually I think was released last year, but I did pick it up this year. I'd heard good things about it and I love this line from Guerlain. It's L'Homme Parfum. The L'Homme line is great, really enjoy the EDP. They've all got this almondy, amaretto style liqueur smell to them, which I think works really well in a fragrance. This boozy amaretto almondy type smell is the signature note or the signature accord in these Ideal fragrances, and it works really well. Ideal EDP's got a lot of love from a lot of people over the years. I really enjoy it myself, so I couldn't not get the Parfum. Since Guerlain rebranded to these new bottles, the prices have gone up. I think full retail, this 100 ml is, I think it's about £130. That's pretty steep. Well, I guess that's not pretty steep in the world of fragrances these days, but you could pick up the Ideal fragrances a few years ago for pretty cheap on discounters. So to have to pay £130 for one stings a little bit, but I did see a sale. I got this on Essential, I thought it was £86. So £86 for a fragrance I thought I probably will really enjoy it, worth a blind buy. For 100 ml, it was worth it, and it absolutely was. This is a beautiful fragrance. I would say compared to the EDP, it's maybe not projecting quite as much, sitting a little closer to the skin, as we can expect from parfums sometimes, but it is deeper, it is richer, and in terms of the scent, I think this is my favorite so far of the Ideal line. On to the first bottle I did not pay for. This is from a brand in the US that I love and a lot of people seem to enjoy. Their presentation is just off the chain. It's just one of the best out there. From Argos Fragrances, this is Charon's Veil. This is a spicy rose oud fragrance. I know we've got quite a lot of those, but this is one that is done particularly well. And loving this frosted glass. I can't help but think, with this beautiful frosted glass, that if they did a Charon's Veil X-Straight black frosted glass, anyone? I've heard a few people say this is along the lines of Dior's Oud Ispahan. I'm not that familiar with that fragrance. I don't have it, so I can't make a direct comparison. But there's a lot of spicy rose oud fragrances out there, so it was probably inevitable this would get compared to similar smelling fragrances. It always happens. Now I say PR, it was kind of a PR gift. I definitely didn't pay for it because I sell Argos fragrances on my website, Luxe Parfum. We are the only UK seller that stock Argos fragrances. And this is in my possession because of that, because we have stock on the website. So I guess I kind of PR gifted it to myself. I mean, not a bad position really when you can give PR gifts to yourself. Anyway, excellent release. If you love Argos fragrances, if you love strong beast mode fragrances, because this stuff is super strong, then you'll probably enjoy Charon's Veil. There was a very big, very controversial release from Dior last month. This is the new interpretation, the reimagined Dior Homme Parfum. Let me start off by saying that this is a nice looking bottle. I love the silver plaque on the cap, very classy. And you know what? The fragrance is pretty classy too. But is it as classy? And is it as good as the original Dior Homme Parfum? I think you probably know by now that it is very different. We lose the depth, we lose the leather, we lose what made the original Dior Homme Parfum such an impactful, show-stopping fragrance. It definitely was on the more creative, less mass-appealing, slightly more niche style of scent than a lot of designer fragrances, but I always gave Dior kudos for that. A designer brand that can release a fragrance like the original Dior Homme Parfum, I love that. Then they changed their mind, they moved away from that, unfortunately, and they've created something that is definitely more mass appealing, a fragrance that definitely fits more in line with what a designer brand might release. The unfortunate thing for this fragrance is It's a good fragrance. It's a really nice fragrance. I've really enjoyed wearing it, but you cannot help compare it to the original version. And when you have loved that so much, and at the moment, it's not clear whether that will still exist as Dior Homme Parfum original or whether it's gone forever, because we don't know yet, and this might be the only one we can get our hands on. I can't help but let that impact my overall enjoyment of this fragrance. I do enjoy it. I don't enjoy it as much as the original. I won't lie that I am feeling a bit less enthused about this fragrance than I otherwise would, just because it's replacing something that I think was superior. The next fragrance was a PR gift, but it was also one that I bought myself, and I'll explain the reasons for that. This was quite a big release, Emporio Armani's Stronger With You Parfum. It is a nice fragrance, it definitely smells like a Stronger With You scent, but that's sort of part of the problem with this. It is just a Stronger With You scent. It just smells like another version of Stronger With You. It is really nice, I've enjoyed wearing it, good fragrance. I would have liked to have seen Emporio Armani take a few more risks to take it further away from the other Stronger With Yous, to create a bit more of a distinction between those and the Parfum, because, you know, Intensely, absolutely, already fantastic fragrances that have their own identity that people love. The Parfum hasn't really done anything to give it its own identity, but still, a very lovely fragrance. I actually have two of them. Two big old 100 ml bottles, because sometimes when there's a lot of anticipation for a new fragrance, it's in my best interest to try and get a review out as soon as I can, to get an early review. So as soon as it's available for me to purchase from somewhere, it might not even be in the UK, it might be somewhere else in Europe, then I'll pull the trigger and I'll get it so that I can start wearing it, formulate my opinion, and then create a video. Sometimes, unfortunately for me, I will do that and I will probably spend more money on it because I have to pay extra money for shipping. I've done all that, I've worn the fragrance, I've made my video, and then a PR company will get in touch and say, would you like to have the new version of Emporio Armani's Stronger With You Parfum and be one of the first to review it? And of course I accept, because it's nice to get a free bottle, especially of designer fragrances. We don't get that many designer fragrances sent for free. And of course it might make a nice gift for somebody. Stronger With You Parfum, big release for January this year, and I have two of them. I'm always pretty hyped for a new release from Jean-Paul Gaultier. I'm not always overwhelmed. Sometimes I would say I am underwhelmed, and unfortunately that was the case with this one. This is Le Beau Flower Edition. The flower that they're going for in this is violet leaf. It's not a masculine, earthy green violet leaf like you get in Fahrenheit and Creed's Green Irish Tweed. This is more of a Palmer Violet candy type of violet. It is that slightly more feminine leaning kind of violet. Not the biggest fan of the Le Beau line. I did really enjoy Paradise Garden. I still think that is the best one. This just a little bit sort of mediocre in my opinion. I did buy this. I purchased this directly from Jean-Paul Gaultier. I think it cost me £113. £113 for a mediocre fragrance. That sucks.
If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description.
This next one is from Valentino. I did purchase this myself because it was in one of Fragrantica's awards list, the top 10 of the last couple of years. So I thought if it's that good, I think it came in at number 5, then that's probably worth picking up. Valentino Born in Roma Intense. It's fine. It is a bit generic. It's a little bit designery. It's a little bit overly engineered to be that mass appealing type of designer fragrance. But you know, it's still pretty nice. I am surprised this was in the top 10 list for one of the best fragrances of the year, because I don't think it is that good. Like I said, it's nice, very wearable, but fragrances that are nice don't really excite me that much, because I have so many fragrances that are a lot more than nice. I have some fragrances that are mind-blowingly good. So when I'm getting a fragrance that's just nice, I'm a bit sort of middle of the road on it. Definitely not one of the best of the last couple of years in my opinion. I am on the last few drops of a bottle of Molecule 01, and I was just looking around for different cheaper options, because that isn't the cheapest fragrance for something that is just ISOE Super, and I know that there's a lot of other ISOE Super options available out there. One of them that I found was Monocline 01 from Maison Alhambra. Maison Alhambra we know from creating a lot of clone fragrances, usually pretty decent ones actually, have come up with their version of Molecular one, this is just ISO E Super. They say it's just ISO E Super, but there's definitely more to it than that. They've added a few things. Smells a little bit floral. It doesn't smell like my bottle of Molecule 01. Because of that, I think I'm going to have to try an alternative ISO E Super. I feel like there's too much extra stuff other than ISO E Super going on in this that might just clash with other fragrances. I love Molecular one because it will allow me to perfectly layer any fragrance on top of that without having notes that will clash. Because this has got something else in it, I feel like maybe it would clash a little bit more. So yeah, I think I am gonna try a different ISO E Super other than this one. If you've got any recommendations, where you get yours from, please let me know. This one's a PR gift. I'm very fortunate to receive a few bits and pieces from Amouage, and this is one of their exceptional extracts, and it is exceptional. This is Purpose 50. Loved the original Purpose. This one I feel is an even better interpretation. This is a bit smoother than the original Purpose for me. I got quite a big sort of pencil shaving vibe on Purpose, which I really enjoyed, but this is smoother, it's more rounded. I don't think it's kicking off as much off the skin, but like some of the exceptional extracts can be, it's a slightly more wearable, softer version of the original, but this ticks all the boxes for me. It's a beautiful fragrance, quite heavy on the incense, to the point where I think maybe the incense is lending a slight little fruity quality to the fragrance, but this is really good stuff. Not too loud, not at risk of being obnoxious. This is just really high quality, beautifully done luxury perfumery. I always say this about this brand, definitely one of my favorite niche brands because it's so wearable, and whenever I wear it, it's so enjoyable. This is one of their, not the latest, but one of the latest. I'm a little bit late to the party on this, but I am loving Althair. Get a little bit of a sweet smoky woods with this, but then this orange, creamy, praline type fragrance, really luxurious. I do remember smelling this in Harrods and I remember really liking it, but I couldn't quite remember exactly what it was like because I was smelling a bunch of other things at the same time. Big fan of the perfumer of this, Hamid Marathi Kashani, who also did Leighton and a few other from Parfum de Mali, Percival. He creates not only some of my favorite Parfum de Mali fragrances, but they are some of my favorite fragrances, full stop. When I got this, it kind of blew my mind that I'd forgotten how good it was. I am loving this. This is just a beautiful fragrance, perfect for the cooler weather. I say that because it's quite thick and rich and creamy, so it might get a little cloying in warmer weather, but when it's cooler, cool spring days, autumn, winter, this stuff is fire. I'm going to Milan in a couple of weeks for Essence. I've already decided this is one of the fragrances I am taking with me because it's a showstopper. It's going to be pretty cool in Italy in February. This is going to be perfect. Not PR, purchased this myself, spent a couple of hundred on it, and I'm glad I did. The final fragrance is my most recent purchase. This is brand new. I still don't think it's got a wide release yet. I picked this one up from Europe. Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Mal Elixir Absolute. The brand say that this builds on the signature Elixir DNA, although it's unclear whether this one has tobacco and honey in it, but I did think tobacco and honey was part of the signature DNA of the original Elixir. To me, it does smell like it has the tobacco and honey. It definitely has that Le Mal Elixir. So if you enjoyed Le Mal Elixir, you'll probably enjoy this. This has just got a little bit of a slightly tart, slightly spicy, juicy plum. You've got the original Elixir smell with a bit of plum added into it, and it works really well. This is a great release from Jean-Paul Gaultier. If you already own the original Elixir, then smell this first because it is very similar. Might be redundant if you already own the original. If you finished a bottle of the original and you're looking for a new one, as soon as this one gets released, I would give it a sniff because I'm enjoying it. I did purchase this myself because I wanted to get wearing it, then I could create some content for you guys. I will probably get a PR company contacting me in a month saying, would you like a bottle of Le Mal Elixir Absolute? Because we want you to be one of the first to review it. Well, catch up guys, job done. Those are my acquisitions for this year. I say acquisitions because they weren't all purchases, although most of them were, but I'm very thankful for the ones that were PR gifts. I do like to still buy my fragrances as well because you kind of got that nice feeling of pulling the trigger and spending some of your cash on a fragrance. It's not quite the same. It's lovely to get things for free, but when you spend your own money on something like I have done with a few of these fragrances and it arrives and you love it, I think you all know what I'm talking about. So how's that for a January haul? I think there's quite a few fragrances there, although I'm sure there are people out there, Barry from Centralize, who've probably bought more fragrances than me. My tally's at 11, but don't forget, I am acquiring these fragrances for content. I would definitely not have this many fragrances over the month of January if I wasn't using them to create content. So do bear that in mind and try not to get into the habit of just buying fragrances for the sake of having more fragrances. Give them a try if you like them. If you think it's worth pulling the trigger, then by all means purchase if it's within your means. That'll do it for this one. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.